One item that's on the chopping block today to be painted is going to be this ceramic tree. Welcome back, DIYers and crafters. Do I have a wonderful video for you. If you are new here, my name is Yvonne and you have landed on Ginger Chick Rehab, where I love to go out in the wild searching for treasures. Not only items to add into my own home as home decor, but I'm also a reseller, so I'm looking for items to flip and make a profit. But I also love finding treasures that need some love, that need that little bit of loving to get them back out there and somebody to love them just as much as I do the vision that I have for them when I make the items over. So in today's video, that is what I am doing. I am taking some out in the wild finds and I am sharing with you what I'm doing with them to make them over. And I know y'all saw that thumbnail, and yes, I will be painting a ceramic tree. So if you are not a fan of painting items, just click off right now, but y'all, it's a good one. Okay, so we're going to start off by making over this can. It is just a made in China piece. It's been painted. It has like a mass-produced stencil on it. So our plan is to make it something individual, make it something unique. So what I'm doing here is I need to sand off the image. The image is a different texture and it is a little bit raised, so if I go to paint it, it is something that's going to stick out and not a detail that I want to stick out. So I'll just have to keep doing the field test. The field test is running my hand across it to make sure that I don't feel any of the raised. And since this is super shiny, I'm going to go ahead and scuff the entire tin. Now see, I told you it was just painted, y'all. So now I'm just going to go ahead and take a Clorox wipe and just clean this piece off. Just get all that sanding dust taken off. Get a nice prep surface to be able to paint this. But we're not going to do that painting over tags by any means. I'm going to take a heat gun. I'm going to warm those tags up a little bit, which will reactivate the sticky, and I'll be able to easily remove them. But a lot of times doing it this way, and anyway, actually, tags, it will leave the sticky behind. So a little bit of essential oil. I use the lemon oil to get rid of that sticky. Don't think it's just going to wipe off with a cloth. It just spreads it. Now I can go ahead and sand the rest of the piece. And yes, I am going to sand the lid, especially something that's going to be touched and used and removed every time somebody might store something in this tin. Just a little scuff sanding, 220 sandpaper is all it takes. When it comes to painting metals, it's just sitting on there. There's nothing for it to soak in. It's not a porous surface. So I'm going to go ahead and prime this piece using some of the Rust-Oleum's enamel paint in the flat black. I want to give this tin a vintage green look, so I'm going to be using Sweet Pickens milk paint. I love this stuff. So I'm going to be using Basil, Pantry Door, and in the Pickle. And Basil is going to be my main color, but I'm going to do 2 scoops of Basil to 1 scoop of Pantry Door to 1 scoop of Pickle in the Pickle, and then equal parts water. So now it's time to paint, and I love this brush that I get from Painted Heirloom. I love that it only holds just a minute amount of paint. I love the straight edge on it, so when I'm going around trying to leave this bottom, that little curved edge, unpainted, it is the perfect tool for the job. And of course I have my Lazy Susan underneath my board, my painting board, so I can just spin this as I'm working around. Oh, I'm sure I just made that look so easy, didn't I? And that was a speeded up version, but it was better to go slow, take my time. I did not mind at all. So now it's going to take a couple more coats to cover this up. It's better to have just a little paint and add more coats than it is have a whole bunch of paint and have too much dripping and running, especially on a surface that does not absorb paint in. Now, after I finish the second and the third coat, because I did do 3 coats on this, I'm just misting it with a mister bottle, just lightly, not heavily, not a couple squirts in the same area by any means. And what this is going to do is help even out any brush strokes that may be happening in that paint. And as soon as I do that, I'm going to hit it with the heat gun. That is really going to prevent any running from happening. That's going to instantly dry that water and dry a little bit of the paint. Though I'm not really trying to dry the paint per se, is I'm just trying to stop the process of it running. The one thing about milk paint, it is not even. You'll see dark spots, you'll see light spots. So it's not necessarily brush marks that you're seeing. It's that old-timey paint. It's just the way that it takes. Now I want to make sure that this is good and sealed in. I'm not distressing a metal piece by any means. I need to seal this paint in. I have a couple more steps that I want to do, but I want to make sure that this paint is good and on there, and so I'm sealing it in with some Weather Defense metal spray. There's just something about this paint color that has my heart, and it's that perfectly imperfect, y'all. If you're looking for a perfect paint job, this is probably not the paint for you. Since I gave it an old-timey paint job, I would like to give it some old-timey wording, and I love letterpress. I love the sizes of this stamp set from IOD, so I'm just going to be doing some random wording. I know sometimes that throws people off. So I'm just doing a storage bin and a random number that means absolutely nothing. But I am an auction goer and I watch tins and just crazily go price when they have old advertisement, old wording, old industrial vibes going on. So that is my inspiration. So I'm just going to use some packing tape, just the clear packing tape. I fold over the 2 little ends to make little handles. And that way I can just go ahead and grab my stamps. Now I'm going to have to do 3 pieces, one in the middle to keep it together from them shifting, because I used my Cricut mat to make sure that I was level. And then as you see, yes, I just fold over those little sides. And this really helps because the tape is flexible, and so when I go to stamp it onto a round tin like this, it will mold around that instead of doing a hard, like the stamping mount sometimes is a little bit not as flexible as I would want it to be. I'm just going to be using IOD's black ink to stamp this up. You see, the packing tape's giving me just a little bit of being able to adhere it to the can while I'm pressing down on the letters that are all inked up, and that way I very gingerly can pull it up, and then we have our labeling. So there is some amazing crackling going on, and you can't necessarily see that. And then also for that uneven paint where it's dark and light and chalky here and there, I am just applying some of the Jolie's black wax, and that's going to give this piece some age. It's going to pop all that crackling. Oh, my heart. So, and then it's going to even out this paint job. Because the IOD ink is a permanent ink, I can wax right over my lettering. So what are you going to do? This is a beautiful footed basket. Oh, it is so well made. And it has a handle. But it's got those 1980 something, I don't know, the era of hearts on it that would maybe steer clear from people from buying it just because it has hearts on. But it is such a useful basket. So first off, we're going to start off with taking the air compressor to get the inside of this cleaned out, because you know when it comes to baskets, and I can tell that this reed has been stained, I really don't want to get this piece wet. I think I got as much as I could removed that way. I'm just going to go ahead and take a stiff brush and make sure that I've got any other debris taken off of this. So I know that basket making is a thing. So do you think this was a handmade piece and then they added those hearts in on there? Or do you think it was store-bought with the hearts, or the hearts were added on after they purchased it? I really don't know. All I know, it is very well made, and that I need to start sanding off these hearts because they are raised. And of course, my hope is that I could just sand them smooth and wouldn't take any of the stain off, and I can just finish up the basket that way. But as you see, that paint soaked into that dry reed, and I'm going to need to paint it. Now I'm just going to take a rag and dry dust this piece. Like I said, I do not want to get this wet. And then choosing a color. Well, I think black is a safe color. I love the color of the staining on this basket. So I'm only going to be painting that little where the hearts were. So the whole top piece is going to get painted with some Fusion Kohl black paint. Now, Fusion paint is awesome because it has primer, paint, and top coat all in one, so I don't have to keep building product up. So this will not be that raised, glumpy paint by any means. It'll be a nice, smooth finish, and the reed is dry, so it's going to soak in the paint. And as you can see, I think one coat is going to be good enough. So I just have a fan brush with minimal paint on. I don't want to, like have it like running over the edges, and I'm pushing down on some of the reed that was even with this binding to make sure that I'm only getting it on this piece. When I sanded off the heart on the handle, it was almost gone. Almost. But if I would to like restain it or anything like that, it would just bring out what paint was left. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to paint the top. I'm not going to try to paint the underneath. This is just an accent to this beautiful basket. Okay, I warned you. Yes, I am going to be painting this ceramic tree. I got this as a bonus piece on a bookshelf that I bought for $5 at an auction. It is not vintage. It is new. They are mass producing these things all the time now. So I do not feel bad at all painting this. And it's so funny as us flippers, how we have to try to explain ourselves all the time. But I'm going to go ahead. I think there's enough room inside this base to tuck this cord in there to get it out of my way. And if you follow my Journey channel, you know that I do a lot of auctions. I do a lot of antique shopping, whatever town I am. And I see these mass-produced, not vintage ones in a third of the booths, especially around this time. So, and they're always green. They're always green. So green is an awesome color. It is a classic color, but I want to make this one a different color. Finding colors when it comes to these ceramic trees are a little bit harder. That worked wonderfully. I don't know, maybe that was the purpose. that is maybe how it came. But I want to go ahead and take the time. This is just a plastic piece that is around where the light is, so I don't want to get paint on there. We're going to go ahead and tape that off. And now it's time to ornament my tree. So some of them are already loose and some of them are glued in. So I just ended up taking a pair of pliers to grab the ones that are still kind of glued in there. Now that I have all the ornaments off, I need to go back in with a scraper and get the glue. There is a little bit of glue here and there that's seeped out of the holes. And if I go to paint it, you're going to see every one of those glue marks. And the nice thing about this ceramic tree, it is glossy glazed, so I don't have to really worry about cutting into the ceramic by any means. I just need to get those glue, that runny glue that's been dried, off. Now some of the glue went into the holes, so I'm just going to take my air compressor and hold on to this baby tight so it doesn't blow it out of my hand. Now that I have that part of the prep done, we're just going to give this a nice wipe down to make sure that there's not any residue left on this that would prevent my paint from sticking. How am I going to get that paint to stick on something so super glossy? Not as it's shiny, it is glossy. So DIXIE BELLE's Slick Stick to the rescue. So this isn't a product that would adhere onto something that's really glossy, and when you go to paint it, your paint will stay on. The only downside of the product is that you need to let it sit for 24 hours before proceeding to paint. So you really have to pre-think what you have going on. I mean, you can let it sit longer by any means, but it's not something like you get the 2 coats of the slick stick on and then you wait an hour and you proceed on painting it. No, recommended is 24 hours before painting this item. So, and I actually waited 3 days, just the way that the weekend worked. I painted it on a Friday, and now it's a Monday. So, I am going to be making my own blue. I did not pre-think about ordering a lighter blue color. I knew that I wanted to make this a light blue tree, but I didn't think about ordering one. So, I'm going to be mixing Parchment and Willowbank together, using more Parchment than the Willowbank. So yes, and I can always add more white to tone it down, to lighten it up. I'm just adjusting it until my eye is happy with the color. So this blue is going to have almost a smoky like, so it's not going to be like a primary blue by any means. It's just going to have that smoky, almost gray look to it. But once it dries, you'll really see the blue going on there. But now I'm just going to start off with my difficult part, which is the bottom. I always like to start with my bottom, just a little bit of paint on there. I don't want to have to deal with drips and runs. Yet again, I love this brush for that, where it does not hold a ton of paint. And with the sharp edges on it, I'm able to get into little crevices, little corners, so easy. I want to be able to keep on working on this piece. So I misted the bottom just a little bit with a spritzer bottle, and I'm taking the heat gun and I'm drying that bottom so I can flip it over on the bottom so I can finish my paint job. I don't want to like a line of demarcation where I've stopped and started my paint. And then while I'm painting it, I'm really being mindful of where the ornaments go or the holes are. I don't want paint dripping in there. I don't want that drying up because then I won't be able to fit my ornaments back in. And because this is a non-porous piece also, I'm just going to lightly spritz. That's going to help take out any brush marks, and then hit it with the heat gun to help that dry just enough that it's preventing it from having any drips going on. It's going to really give me that smooth paint job. So not that I'm drying it, I'm just instantly like flash freezing it a little bit with the heat gun, flash heating it, I guess, with the heat gun, just enough to stop any of that from happening. And then I actually let that dry overnight. This was not a quick process. I didn't want to put paint upon paint upon paint on a non-porous surface. I really want to make this look good. So I wasn't trying to rush my paint. So now I'm going back in with the second coat. I'm going to work from the top this time, but I will have to flip it over again to make sure that I've gotten every little spot covered up. So now it's the fun of dressing the tree back up. And I just by chance at an auction got a gazillion, okay, 1,000 or so. I don't even know how many vintage ceramic tree ornaments I got. So I am lucky enough, God wink moment, to be able to change the bulbs out to all blue. I had actually a few different colors of blue in the packaging that I had thrifted. That, yes, oh my goodness, I told you there's a, and that's only one of like 5 bags that I had gotten. So I'm not gluing them in quite yet. I'm just placing them all in, making sure that I find, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have a problem finding enough to fill this little tree. So I found plenty. So I'm just doing a little dab of hot glue to keep them in place. Now, I'm not sure if the original ceramic trees were always hot glued in or they came loose over time, but I'm going to be selling this in my retail booth only, so I don't want anybody like taking a bulb out or a bulb being lost on the floor. I want to make sure that they're all in there. The one thing that I didn't have was a star that matched. I could have reused the red star that was there, or I could have ordered probably a clear star from Amazon, but at our antique mall, I know that the owner had a ton of vintage bulbs too, so I went into her stash and found a perfect star that matched. I'm going to give that base a snowy look by using some more of the Parchment, just a nice soft white, a couple coats on the base, and it will just transform this new purchased good ceramic tree into a replica of the old vintage ones. But wait, I have one more ceramic tree. I probably should have showed this one before I showed the other one, but you know. So I purchased this one at an auction also. I was happy to get it because I know I am a fixer. I do not steer clear of something just because it is worn, torn, brokenness, chippiness. It's just, so this one is vintage, but was just not a very good paint job, or I think they tried to take the ornaments out, and I now know that because they are glued in there, that it took the paint out. Now, all the little edges of the leaves are also appear to be chipped, but once you actually feel them, they're not chipped. The paint has just came off of them. So maybe there was some type of ornament on that also that they pulled off and removed, and it took the paint with it also. So I'm just taking some 220 sandpaper to smooth down the paint. I don't want to just start painting on this piece because you would see all that detail where the paint has been lifted. If you're watching my channel, this is your vibe. You are a DIY crafter. You are, so many of you are on the hunt, just like I am, for items that just need to be given new life. And I know when you would have saw this for a couple bucks, y'all, you would not have passed it up either. When I purchased this tree, it had maybe a half dozen little red birds that were still in it. There was no stars, there's no holes on the top. It didn't have any cord or anything like that. So I didn't have to worry about that, but I am going to go ahead and take the air compressor and blow all the sandy dust to make sure that it's out of the mold. Plus just giving it a quick cleaning in the hopes that the paint's sealed enough that it's not going to come off on my rag. Now this tree is not shiny at all, and the paint is not sealed in with anything, but I'm going to go ahead and seal it in and even out the porosity of that raw ceramic that is popping through where the ornaments and whatnot had been removed, just by coating it with a couple coats of shellac that'll even out that porosity. Oh, y'all, yes, you do. You see pink. Though I remembered to order pink for the ceramic tree, as I did not remember to order a lighter blue. I don't know why I did not, but it turned out perfect. I love that blue color. But yes, last year I thrifted a pink ceramic tree, y'all, at a Goodwill for $14.99. And I just had to tweak it a little bit. It had clear bulbs. It had pearls and ribbons, and so I just took the pearls and the ribbons off because they were half off, half on. It made it look kind of cheesy. You know, it just wasn't a finished look. So luckily that didn't take any of the paint off. It was a beautiful tree. And I am finding out that the odd colors, not your basic green, are what sells a little bit faster than green, because I did have some green ones in last year that I had thrifted also last season, and I almost had to discount them at the end of the year going, "Oh, I don't want to have to store these green trees." So that was my motivation to painting some of these trees up in some fun, unexpected colors. But I'm going to have to do 2 to 3 coats covering that dark green up. But isn't it just gorgeous? Oh, I love that pink. And yet again, I'm trying to be mindful of the holes, that I'm not filling those up with paint. I love the uniqueness of the shape of this. I love that the base is attached. Oh, it's so pretty. In between coats, I'm doing that same thing. I'm doing the mister bottle, just a mist. As you see, I'm not like spray, spray, spray. I'm not getting it to be wet. I'm just misting it and then hitting it with that heat gun to get that nice, smooth finish. Now for this base, I'm going to go one white lighter. The Parchment's a little bit darker than the Victorian lace because the pink is so light. I really want you to tell that this has a snowy base. And so I wasn't too careful applying the pink underneath the bottom. I need to be a little bit more careful as I'm applying the white. That bright white just makes that pink pop. Oh, I love it. So I played around with a couple of pink bulbs, but I just didn't like any of them in there. So I ran across this one in my stash, and it is a white bulb, but it has a little iridescent to it. And I thought, oh, that'll be a nice shimmer to this pink. And of course, my hopes is that I have enough to fill the tree, but I'm not even getting off the surface of this bag of how many there's in there. So yes, you see quickly I'm finding them left and right, that it's not any big deal. Now, I was lucky enough that in one of my auction hauls, I had this light bulb that was in there, and I'm like, oh, I have a perfect use for this. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and if you stayed to the end and you watched me paint a ceramic tree and you didn't have a heart attack, congratulations. Yes, just a little bit of paint can just take an item into the next level. It can just change it, get it to be wanted again. I mean, simple as just covering up that beautiful basket, that outdated hearts. Oh, I just absolutely love it. Now it's ready to hold whatever somebody would want it to hold. Just simple black. Simple black with that beautiful color of the reed is just wonderful. And yeah, yep, that wasn't really a copper tin. All that was just painted on there and a raised stencil, and I just wanted to make it something different. You know, we can mass produce items all day long, but it is fun to make something different. Okay, y'all want to talk about the ceramic trees? Yes, the one needed to be painted because I bought it that way. That's exactly the way I intended it at the auction. I'm like, hey, I'll take it for minimal money because I know that I feel that I could make it over and make it beautiful again. And the other new age ceramic trees, now y'all know they're all over the place. Everybody's selling a version of the vintage ceramic trees, and they're all green. Well, a good portion of them are green, so why not change its color? Actually, finding color ones are a little bit harder, so why not change it up? It was a $5 ceramic tree. It was not old and vintage by any means, so I was happy to paint it blue. You saw me paint blue and pink here on the channel, and for you who have followed me this entire time, you're like, oh, you didn't paint them black and white. I already have a white tree that's going in my booth for the holiday season, so I didn't need a white one. So thanks again so much for watching today's video, and have I inspired you to think outside the box, look at those secondhand finds in a new way? Give me a quick comment down below. Did you think I was crazy? Have you now unsubscribed because I painted ceramic trees? I'm sure there'll be at least one comment of that down in the comments below. But thanks again for watching. I love you all. I appreciate all my fellow crafters, DIYers, home decor lovers that just enjoy watching my content and seeing what each video is going to bring. There's always something different in each one of my videos. So thanks again for watching. If you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much for taking the time to subscribe, comment, like, share my content. And if you're new and you've stayed to the end of this video, I have to say you kind of like it. So smash that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know we uploaded a new video. And we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye.